They are one of the two best teams in the AFC. It's Kansas City, Indianapolis, draw a line, and then everybody else.
Yeah.
What Patrick Mahomes is doing is otherworldly, Stephen A. Last night marked his third straight game with 3+ passing touchdowns. Last time he did that was the 2021 season when he had Tyreek Hill on the roster.
Yeah.
Right? He leads the league in passing yards and completions outside of the pocket. So his ability to be able to extend the down takes this offense to a different level.
Talk about he's not a quote runner. He's not like a dual.
No.
But outside the pocket.
He leads the league in passing yards and completions outside of the pocket.
That's unreal.
Which makes him a cheat code for Andy Reid, and it's frustrating for defensive linemen and opposing defensive coordinators because you can't plan for the improvisation that Mahomes brings to the party.
Yeah.
Last night, the distribution and touches, four different runners with design runs, catches by 6 different receivers.
Yeah.
You don't know where it's coming from with the Kansas City Chiefs. And the scary proposition about this team, Doggy, is that the offense is not even the best phase of the football team.
Right.
Jeff Saturday just told you. The game was decided early on when the Washington Commanders had 3 straight possessions plus 40 and got zero points out of it. That defense, while they don't have gaudy stats, they don't make a lot of mistakes, not a lot of blown assignments, don't allow explosive plays, and they're sure tacklers. That is why the Kansas City Chiefs are inevitable and why we should expect them in the championship round.
Shut up, Brian.
Welcome to the pod. Welcome to Brian's World. I am your host, the ambassador of Kansas City, Kansas City's favorite son, Brian B. Shynin.
Shut up, Brian.
And I want to thank you for coming on to Brian's World and spending just a little bit of time with me so you can hear me talk a little shit about these Chiefs and other things. But I ain't going to waste your time either, man. Shout out to my family at Foolish Club Media. Just make sure that you rate, subscribe, review, share. Just tap in all around at Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and on YouTube. And you already know, man, while you're on YouTube, make sure you type in B Shynin so you can subscribe and like and tap into the Brian B. Shynin YouTube page at B Shynin. Every Wednesday, Brian's World drops. And then my Hustle and Shine in the Morning content. You know I got that cracking with Deanna.
Duh.
And whatever else is going on with Brian B. Shynin. Mixes, beats. I might, go, I don't know. Whatever adventure I'm on, very minimal. It's all at the B Shynin page on YouTube. Woo! This week in Brian's World. 3 in a row. The Chiefs get the dub against the Commanders in commanding fashion. And we'll look ahead to this Buffalo Bills game coming up in Week 9 in the National Football League. The No Limit versus Cash Money versus. It was legendary. And I got a lot of thoughts about it, man. I got my reaction on it. Just some things were off. We'll discuss that later on, as well as the NBA's gambling scandal and why it should be concerning to you. Seriously, this is a problem that I'm pretty sure that a lot of people saw. We'll discuss. B Shynin's bets. We came down to earth a little bit last week. Still got some wins though, and we'll have a very, very interesting fit check.
Yeah, when we got in the locker room, we talked about executing. It's sometimes you want to press and make stuff happen, especially on a big game like Monday Night Football, and we weren't doing that. They had more energy than we did, their defense versus our offense, and so we had to match their energy and execute at a higher level, and we were able to do that in that second half and start off that first drive, and then we kind of continue that momentum through the rest of the second half. I think it shows the growth that we've had as a team. Offense, defense, and special teams. I think we're getting better and better each and every week, and even though we didn't start the way we wanted to today offensively, it showed that we can battle through adversity and still continue to play the brand of football that we want to play. And we'll have to continue to get better and better. This will be a great challenge this next week, and we'll have to start faster. But I was proud of how the guys responded in that second half.
28-7. That's an old school 90s football NFL score right there. Chiefs beat the Commanders as all-time versus Washington. No matter what stadium or what state they in, no matter what uniforms they wearing in that burgundy, gold, and white, no matter what their name is, we're 11-1 against the Washington commanding football team, Redskins. Yeah, man, 11-1. That's the best record we have against any team in the league in our history. I think the Cardinals is the next one. And, you know, we got a winning record against all the AFC West teams. But yeah, 11-1 against the Commanders. Look, Jaden Daniels wasn't playing, so it's not a lot to get into as far as like breaking down what happened or whatever. I just know that the first half, we reverted back to the 2024 Chiefs. And y'all know me, I'm a bad news first guy. I like to hear the bad news first, so that's what we gonna do. And it's the offensive line, as well as the drop passes, the tip passes, the turnovers, and all of that stuff. And, you know, keeping the Commanders in the game, making them feel like they have a chance. But it was just back to old habits because of the offensive line. Look, that was a tough test for Jalen Moore. He had a rough go at it for the first quarter and a half or so. You know, he wasn't all the way struggling, but you know, he had his hands full over there, as well as Jawan Taylor. I think Creed Humphrey had a penalty. Caliendo was getting waxed. He was getting his ass whooped, as you know, Trey Smith is out. Left tackle Josh Simmons is out. So it affected everything with the offense in the first half. The Chiefs were behind schedule as they faced several third and longs where Patrick Mahomes had to make some magic happen on a couple of long runs. And then he tried to get the ball to Hollywood Brown with the turnover. You know, abandoning the pocket, not trusting the offensive line because he was, you know, running for his life several times in the first half. You know, as the tip passes, you know, turning into interceptions. Those are things that we saw in the past with the 23 or 24 Chiefs. But that second half, totally different. They got back to the fundamentals, I felt like. It was a different team, a different looking team. And let me say this too. I hate it when the Chiefs don't come out the more intense team. I can't stand that, man, because the Commanders knew that the only chance they had was play coverage and be super aggressive on defense and try to limit the amount of times that Mahomes has the ball. And on offense, hurry up, try to make some plays, keep the Chiefs defense on their heels, but still keep the ball in bounds and keep that clock moving. And they did it, for the most part, they did a solid job of that in the first half. They were the more aggressive team, though. Like the Chiefs were steady getting punched in the mouth. The offensive line, and that had a lot to do with the offensive line, you know, plain and simple. But that second half, totally different team. They look like a well-oiled machine. I don't know what secret sauce they got, or the offense. I don't know if Andy Reid got in their ass or what have it. I don't know. But it was a totally different team in the second half, as Mahomes was 17 of 19 for 210 yards with 3 touchdowns, no turnovers, no interceptions. When that offensive line just clicks and gives Mahomes some time, you saw it. How many off-schedule plays did he make tonight? Not including when he ran the ball for positive yards. But on those plays where he stays behind the line of scrimmage, he lets his receivers work and let them come back to him, or let them find a hole in the zone or get open somehow, some way. He makes it happen when he has time. Kudos to the O-line for getting their shit together in the second half, because it made all the difference in the world. As well as the play calling too. I thought the play calling was very good post first quarter, because to me, the running game just was not there. They got very creative with the run game in the second half, I felt like, especially with Pacheco. I think he deserves more carries for sure. But going back to Mahomes and him, to me, in my opinion, padding his MVP resume again with another spectacular performance in that second half, you know, his relationship with his players in that locker room, and how the EGE motto, everybody got to eat, that Rashee Rice, you know, came up with, and that motto that the team is taking on now, it is special intelligent, and rare. And Andy Reid recently talked about Mahomes' leadership, which I think is an underrated quality of his. And another one, which I don't think people give him enough credit for, is him actually spreading the ball around.
I think he's the best, but I mean, listen, I'm partial, obviously. We ask him to do so much stuff, and then just look at his game. I mean, look at his numbers, and how he contributes, how he gets everybody on the offense involved. I mean, he does that's him doing that, and he's got options on all that stuff, and he he finds a way to get everybody the ball, and and then his leadership, I think, is second to none.
I think Mahomes' relationship with all of his teammates, with his receivers, and his ability to really spread the ball around is something that people don't recognize enough as a big strength of his, to me. Because you've seen teams in the past where they have unraveled to where you got a diva wide receiver who wants the ball, where you force the ball to them and you're not winning games, but they're getting their stats. The 2005 Eagles with T.O. Okay, yeah, he was probably the best player on that team, especially on the offense. He took the Eagles to a whole other level. They don't get to the Super Bowl without Terrell Owens. Very good team, didn't win it. That team got torn apart in 2005. The 2014 was fine, but that 2005, that was the whole time where, Andy Reid had to send him home and he was doing sit-ups in his driveway, and it was a big fiasco at the time. But my point is that Mahomes, if he's faced with a circumstance like that with some diva wide receiver or something like that, how would that affect this team, especially with the model that they're adapting now with everybody got to eat? So I'm just saying, I feel like that's a very, very, very underrated quality of Patrick Mahomes and his ability to make sure that everybody in the offense is involved. And to me, it's just the most intelligent thing to do. The more threats you have, the more that the defense has to think about, the more that you keep that defensive coordinator thinking at night during the week, So it's just the intelligent thing to do. Pacheco, I said a second ago that I think that he deserves more carries. And I do, man. He's just the type of running back that I see. The more carries that he gets, the better he is in the game, and the more that he gonna wear that defense's ass out. I saw it against the Commanders. They got tired of tackling that man in the fourth quarter. He ended up with 12 carries for 58 yards. If you give Pacheco a good solid 15 carries, I think he comes close to that 100-yard mark, especially in total touches. So I would like to see them get him more into the rhythm of a running game. They've been doing better with it lately. And I know it's only so many carries to go around because Kareem Hunt has to come in and spell him and has to get some of them, or not some, but all of those short yard carries. That's when I want to see Kareem Hunt in the game. Not necessarily when it's second and long or even first and 10. I guess maybe I'm just used to the old school way of having a cowbell back, and that just ain't today's game. And maybe that's something I'm working on that I need to get used to. But man, Pacheco just seems like they don't want to tackle him later on in the game. The more carries you give him, the better he is to me.